Welcome to Everlasting Peace, where we discuss eternal love and eternal grief and all things related to trying to conceive, infertility, prenatal diagnosis, pregnancy, infant loss, and connecting in the afterlife. I am the mother of Eva, who lived for 22 precious days on this planet in 2017. And I've taken a couple-week break if you are a continued viewer. I was waiting for my new iPhone. I was just really tired of looking at the grainy footage I was taking and was excited to step it up a notch. So it actually gave me an opportunity to think about what and how I wanted to discuss the topic for today. And that is the human self and the soul self when looking at grief and baby loss. And I just don't want anyone to think that I am spiritually bypassing my human self and my grief. When I talk about connecting with Eva in the afterlife, I've said it many times and I'll say it many times more. The biggest comfort is knowing that my daughter lives on, that we still have a connection, that she communicates with me through signs and messages. And I have a feeling if you're watching this video, you have some of this understanding and belief system as well. But that does not mean that I have not felt extreme grief in the loss of my daughter. And it's really a balance between these two selves of mine. We are grounded on earth. We are here to learn lessons, I truly believe that, from this horrific loss. And you may not believe this, but I do believe it was part of a grand plan. And I do believe things happen for a reason. And there were things gained from Eva, and there was things gained from myself, my husband, my sons, my extended family, friends, in the loss of her and the understanding of death on this level, losing a baby. One of the hardest things we can choose to experience as souls is to come to earth and lose a child. It's an out of order death. It's not how we view life. Our children are supposed to outlive us. And I just don't want there to be any misunderstanding, because I do talk a lot about Eva's spirit and the beauty in that. And there is my human self. And really, I spent a lot of time processing the pain. I spent a lot of days missing work in that pain. It was really hard for me to go back to work full time. And thankfully I had an understanding, supportive, from the top down environment that I worked in that really helped support me in, it almost makes me want to cry right now, in my grief, because it was tremendous and there's no way around that. I also don't want anyone to ever feel bad about themselves if they aren't feeling this connection or communicating with their child in the way I am. I believe we all have a different path and we all come to this in different ways, and there are different ways that we have and form this connection. Mine looks different than yours, but it doesn't mean that you're not capable of making this connection with your beloved, because they are with you, and there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that that is reality. But what that looks like for you looks different than what it looks like for me. There's this balance of the human and the soul, spirit self, that I'm constantly, even 4 years later, still finding. Sometimes I get so far one way into the beauty and the magic and the love and the everlasting peace that comes with connecting with my daughter in spirit. She guides me. She brings so much beauty to my days that I get so far that way that when the triggers happen, the big dates, the anniversaries, they don't happen as much as they did. but they come crashing down, and I get so far in the soul, sometimes I think that it's never going to feel that way again. That pain is gone, and I am so enlightened and recognizing of the afterlife that it feels so good in that moment that I'm not going to feel the pain again. And no, I'm going to feel that pain until the day I die. Her anniversary, her death anniversary this year hit me like a ton of bricks. We usually plan something or on some sort of getaway. The first year after Eva died, we were in Hawaii, in the island of Kauai. We took amazing waterfall hike on her death day. And this year, we had no plans. We planned a beach getaway for the following weekend for various reasons. And I'll tell you, I'll never do that again. I will have plans on her death day because it is tremendous and it is hard, and I did not know what to do with myself. I cleaned Eva's corner of our living room where I have shelves where her ashes and her little items and knickknacks and photos of her and all the beautiful gifts we've been given reside. But then I didn't know what to do with myself after that. And it wasn't a good day. So yes, I still feel the grief and the pain immensely, and I'm supposed to. And I'm still learning and still growing from this. So there is my human self and there is my soul self. And when you are early in grief, you spend a lot more time in that human self. Goodness knows I did. But I would also rise in the morning, roll out my yoga mat. Yoga is my jam. Meditation. It's what I use to really get into my soul self, I guess you could say. And I would cry on that yoga mat. Sometimes I wouldn't move. A lot of times I would write. I have this whole journal that I kept during my conception journey, which was 5 long, gruesome years. And while I carried Eva with her prenatal diagnosis, knowing she was going to die, and then even during her 22 days of beautiful life, it was still tragic and sad because I knew her life was limited. And so I was connecting to her soul, I was connecting to her spirit, and I was grieving all at the same time. I was allowing my humanness to come out as much as I was allowing my soulness to come out. And I just think it's important that I touch on this because I will talk a lot more about the beauty and the gifts that Eva has given me, just because I don't think that that's talked about enough. And just like I don't think grief is talked about enough. Now, I'm really grateful that I'm growing up, 41 years old over here, living in this era when we have social media, when we have, an abundance of therapists, when we as human beings are really tapping into the trauma and have this better understanding of it all. So we use the word death. I use the word death instead of, she passed on all the time or loss. My baby girl died, and that is the reality of it. And so what a gift that we can we've got a long ways to go in understanding grief and trauma and how to support people in this. But I think there are so many amazing social media accounts and influencers and books and just so much support being gained in the baby loss community that I feel it's my role. And Eva's really told me this from the very beginning, even when I was still carrying her. I can see notes in my journal and things that I wrote where I knew it was our life path to share the spirit end of things and to help people recognize that you don't have to go to a medium, that you have the power within you, that your beloved child is always with you and wanting to support you and wanting joy for you, but also at the same time understanding that you are on this human plane and you will feel pain on this human plane. And that's okay. It's understood. It's our path together. It's lessons being learned. And I just want you to recognize there is both. And one is, no better than the other. They both need to be experienced and fully expressed. And I'm just here to remind you of the fact that your child lives on, and that's our small window in this baby loss community. But this video is here to remind you that there's no shame, there's no feeling bad about the darkness of your grief, because there is light and there is dark and there is balance in all things in this experience, and we are meant to feel them all. So I'll leave you with that. Peace and love to you, my dear ones, mothers, fathers, parents, grandparents, anyone who may be watching this, whether your child died in pregnancy, baby, or as a child or grown adult. If you're watching this, you're supposed to be watching this, I fully believe. So hopefully you gained something. No shame, no stigmas. We're just here learning on this earth plane together. Feel free to leave a comment, to connect with me. I leave my email in the description box along with my Instagram accounts. And I'm really starting to recognize my Lori A. Larson on Instagram is really where I talk more about the heaviness of grief, where evalastingpeace Instagram account is where I talk about spirit and connecting with Eva in that way. So even in my Instagram accounts, I've got my human and I've got my soul self, and we're all in it together. So I'm here for you. Feel free to share or connect in any way that feels right. Much love.